Hi, I'm Scott Berkman with Beach Street News. My very first job was making pizzas at Danny's Pizza Factory, and I still like pizza. A lot of people like pizza. I bet you like pizza. A few years ago, though, I found out I had a problem digesting and eating gluten. I had a little bit of an allergic reaction. Some people have stomach problems. I had a little bit of a skin problem, so I became gluten-free, which meant no pizza. But now I've got a pizza oven, and I've discovered that you can get gluten-free pizza crust. It's a little different than making a regular crust, but for the most part is the same thing. And I will tell you, if you make a good homemade pizza, it's fantastic. If you just want to make a homemade pizza in an oven, all you need is a stone like this. For under $20, you get one of these. It's ready to go. You just put it in the oven and make sure it gets good and hot. And there's directions that come with it that tell you the temperature between 450 or 500. You put the pizza on that and the dough bakes from the bottom up. It makes a great pizza, but we have a pizza oven, wood fired, so we'll be making 2 gluten-free crusts, one from Bob's Red Mill and one from Betty Crocker. We'll put those together and put them to the test today, and we'll decide and let you know what we find. So let's get mixing. Now I'm only going to show you how to mix one of them because they're the exact same thing. They each have a yeast packet inside. We're going to have a little bit of warm water, and we use this teapot to warm it up and let it cool a bit. We don't want it boiling. We don't want to kill the yeast. So now we've cut the top off. We pull out the yeast packet and set it aside for just a second. We're going to measure out the warm water. Preheated it in the teacup, but I let it cool a little because, again, we don't want it too hot. We don't want to kill the yeast. So the water goes into the bowl. Let it cool just a little bit, and then we're going to let the yeast sit in that water so the yeast can come to life. So all we do here is add the yeast to the warm water and give it a few minutes to wake up out of the bag. All it's doing is letting it come back to life and get ready to make the dough. And following the directions on the package, the next step is to add a little bit of olive oil. That helps the dough kind of bind together and give it some texture and a little bit of flavor. Now we'll add a couple of eggs. Very simple. I'm using 2 whole eggs. If you want to substitute egg whites, you might try that. I haven't done it, but I'm sure it'll work just fine. So the next step is to mix up the ingredients. I like to break the egg yolks first before I put in the flour. Now we'll add the gluten-free pizza flour. Now once we're all finished with it, it feels like a blob, not quite like regular pizza dough. It's not stretchy, it's more pull apart, kind of crumbly, almost like scone dough. So you have to be a little bit careful with it. The Bob's Red Mill makes 2 full 12-inch pizza crusts, so I'll cut it in half and split it and put it on some wax paper here. And then one of the things I forgot to mention that we should think about is that these crusts need to rise a little bit, and then we need to bake them almost all the way before we put the toppings on and put them back in the oven. So now that we've got our 2 crusts ready to go, let's start getting the oven ready. So one of the key things we learned already is that the gluten-free dough sticks to everything. You can't really add flour down like you do with regular pizza dough. So what we figured out is to spray a little bit of olive oil on first on the silicone baking sheet, and then put a little bit on top with a plastic instead of the wax paper, which is stuck to. So we're going to show you that one now. So this is the first from our Red's Mill. It's cooled off. The yeast is done. We'll do a little high-speed quick show of how we did it to get the pizza out flat so you don't have to watch the whole thing in slow motion and wait. Nice and easy. Just put it under there, round it out, and there you go. Pizza dough ready to stick in the oven. Now we're back from the oven, ready to put our sauce and our toppings on it. Remember, gluten-free, you have to have the pizza dough crisped before you can put the sauce and the other toppings, otherwise it'll soak in. So I'm going to finish off the first pizza Hawaiian style. A little bit of mozzarella cheese, good coverage, nice thin stringy cheese so it'll melt down nice. Put on some ham, Canadian bacon style, and then some pineapple. And then we're going to get it out to the oven. Now remember, it's pre-baked, so this is only going to take 4 or 5 minutes and we'll be ready to go. So here we have the first one straight out of the oven in just 3 minutes. You'll notice it doesn't cut like a regular pizza. It cuts almost like a scone. The gluten-free crust kind of do that. So let's take a bite and see what we got. Probably not. Well, we wanted to try one more before we gave you the results. So we did a pepperoni mushroom on the Bob's Red Mill, and then we're going back to the oven. Well, as you saw, Betty Crocker didn't cut it, but Bob's Red Mill has a chance. We're comparing it against Udi's pre-made gluten-free, which is pretty good. So here we go, cutting it up, and we'll see what we get. Notice it cuts a little better too, more doughy like regular dough. So here's the test. Bob's Red Mill, pepperoni mushroom. We have a winner. This is really good. This is really good. Thank you for watching Beach Street News. Come back next time.